Hello and welcome back to Creepy Coochie Crafty. Welcome back to yet another crafting video with me, Heather. Hi guys, how you doing? So yeah, this week I'm continuing with my whitework piece here. I've got most of the outside edge done. I've got some bits on this side just to finish off, and the edging here as well, and I'm doing that off screen. But I just wanted to add some little decorations into some of these holes here. Now, I'm not going to do all of them this time. I'm just going to do these outside edge ones, and then maybe come back and do something inside these inner edge ones, I don't know. And I also want to do something in the middle here as well, but I'll decide that once I get to it. Now, just to let you know, I have got myself a bit of kit on my phone, on my phone stand rather, where I'm filming. So if I sound a bit weird, that might be it. I'm trying to sort of get a better sound on my my iPhone, which is what I'm filming on. But we'll see how that works out. So I'm just coming in here, going to the middle one and pulling that one down tight to there, and then maybe I'll do a second loopity loop. There we go. There we go. Let's see if we can get that nice and tight on there. So if I pull that one down to there, I can pull that through. There we go. And then that goes to there in the middle. And this is something that I've kind of learned from looking at pictures rather than actually done myself. So I don't know if this is the absolute correct way of doing this. But again, if you guys know better than me, you can always correct me down in the comments. Any guidance, any help is always welcome. You know, I'm always willing to learn. But I'm going to try and do these as like little sort of stars and squares in the middle here. So it's going to be interesting. So I have to be careful not to go too close to the edge on this bit here, because these here I've cut the strands off. It's more likely to pull back or to misshape, so I have to be a bit careful on that one. But yeah, it's looking good, I think. I like how this is turning out. So I'm trying to go the same way every time on this one, but on the last one I'm going to have to go backwards because it's the first one. So yeah, and yes, and then on this one I go backwards like that, so it looks more sort of planned. There we go. And one more. Oops, and someone's sitting off the dog next door. The dog's not happy about something. I don't know what it's not happy about, but it's not happy about something. But yes, sometimes the dog next door gets left on its own for long periods of time, so it gets a bit bored, I think, unfortunately. I don't know if the people next door are particularly careful dog owners. It's unfortunate. If I could do something about it, I would. But I'm not going to go into too much detail about that because I know there are lots of dog lovers here on YouTube. But I am monitoring the situation. It is the Easter holidays, so of course we've got Squinks at home, and they are upstairs making lots of noise on their computer, so I hope it's not disturbing you too much. But yes, so there's lots of noises going on, and there we go. Just trying to get that stitch through there around that cluster block so that it's all nice and packed away, and then doing the same on this cluster block here and have it coming up in the middle there we go, and doing the same there. Last time I did this, I did it with one loop, which looked fine, but this time I'm trying it with two loops, and you're trying to get that little sort of square in the middle there. It's not perfect, but you know, once again I am learning, guys. I'm learning very slowly, but I am learning. My gosh, there's a lot of noise out today. I may have to edit out some of the noise because the neighbours don't realise I'm videoing, so yes. Squinks, however, they do know that I'm videoing and they're still shouting, so yay! Any of you other content makers, creators out there, do you have the same problem of getting people to remember that you're filming and that they have a tendency to start sort of shouting at the wrong time? But you know, the whole world doesn't revolve around my videos, but you know, sometimes it'd be nice if they listened. Did I do that twice or once? I think I did it twice. 1 and 2. There we go. I think I may have done the first one only the once, so yeah, that might affect things, but we'll see how we go with that one. And then back into there, and we'll see how that looks. It's a bit squinky, but I think it's all right. There we go. I think I may have done the first one only once, but that's fine. I can live with that. Second time, and then over here, and then this should hopefully bring it together. There we go. So how are you guys doing this week? Summer is just around the corner here. You can feel the air changing, you can feel the pressure in the air changing, and you can feel all the pollen coming out and saying hello. So of course, you know, everybody now thinks they've got, you know, summer colds and things, but you know, it's nice to see things springing back to life after the winter. Yeah, it's a nice sunny day here, and we're getting the start of the really good weather, I think. So it's going to be nice and warm. It was warm this morning. I had to go to my doctor's for a blood test, and I think I may have actually got myself a little bit of sunburn on the way back, but you know, it's nice to have the warmer weather again. I'm not one of these people who's a sun worshipper, as you know. I may have mentioned before, I burn like anything. Put me out in the sun for more than 2 minutes and I will turn into a very nice lobster colour, but not a very nice human colour. So yeah, it's all go here. As I say, we're in the middle of the Easter holidays, but Squinks is already starting to gear up for their GCSEs. I keep mentioning the GCSEs. It's all about the GCSEs now. So they've got music GCSE exam coming up, and they've got their arts, and they've got history, and they've got, you know, all the standards. They think they're in a good position, and I'm really hoping they are, but I'm going to be nagging them around the clock to do their exam revision and making sure that they're ahead. And it's quite nice because one of their teachers at school has said that they think Squinks should do music, so sort of specialise in music, and they do have an aptitude for it. I've got to be honest with you. My mother was quite musical. She learned to play the piano and the violin and the double bass and all kinds of other bits and pieces. But she never studied it, really. She sort of did the lessons. It's kind of a middle class kind of thing to do. You know, she got the lessons and stuff, and she got all of her grades for one of the lessons, because there's like a grade system for the exams for music. So you do well, you try to do one grade a year, and they go from obviously first grade to grade 8, and Squinks is on grade 5, which is pretty good for their piano, but they're thinking about what other instruments maybe they should try and get, because if they're thinking of doing music at university or something, they're probably going to need more than one instrument to show their range. But I think we're going to deal with that when we come to it. But it's good that they've got that positive reinforcement though. So I think it's kind of important, really, especially when the teachers, are saying something positive about what they're doing as well. So yeah. Anyway, I'm going to come back in here underneath, try and get that opened up a little bit, and poke it back in. I'm trying not to make the white stitches too obvious in the variegated stitches. I really do love the jewel tones on these cluster blocks and other bits and pieces here. This is once again my variegated thread that I'm keeping just for this task, and that was from little gem felts that I got from the Stafford Wool Gathering last year, and I think I definitely want to go back and have another look at that show this year. I think it's in October, so it's going to be a while, and I'll see what I can do. And I am still thinking, I am still very much considering whether or not to do some crochet projects and things. I definitely need to relearn the process. As I say, my friend tried to teach me how to do crochet, and I learned, but then I immediately forgot, because that's my brain. If I don't reinforce what I've learned several times, I always wind up losing it. And for some reason, crochet is one of those things I don't seem to be able to keep in my head very well. But it's one of those things again. Yeah, I keep saying it's one of those things. But if you reinforce it a bit better, or if I reinforce it a bit better, maybe I'll remember it better. Because when I finish my lesson, or I've been taught how to do it, if I keep doing it, I will be more likely to learn. Same as with all these things. It's like when I was doing what was it? The bullion stitches. It took me a while to learn how to do it, but once I'd got my head around it, I could do it much more better. Terrible English there. But then obviously, whenever you do a new project or a new bit of stitching, you need to have refreshers on the stitches that you're going to use, because the wise way of doing things, I think, you can't just plough in and hope for the best. And yeah, that's what I've been doing for most of my stitching now, I think. Yeah, I mean, I do plough in and just go for it as well, but trying to make sure that I'm keeping the facts that I need to retain in my head. I do have a habit of forgetting things. I have a habit of forgetting entire conversations or entire things that I've done. Not, fairly soon after I've done whatever I've done. It's kind of funny, really. It is something that people have remarked on. It's not that I've, got memory issues of that nature, but I do sometimes have problems remembering certain things, because I have issues with certain parts of my memory because of having dyslexia. It's a weird one, isn't it? And having had long COVID, I've also found that that's affected my memory as well. So I'm still doing these things and I'm still, reinforcing them, but sometimes things escape my memory, which is not ideal, as I think you'll agree. Anyway, I'm going to get off that because that's a bit morbid, isn't it, in some ways. This one's gone a bit squiffy. The central square is not visible. I'm going to live with that though, because there's literally nothing else I can do. It's something I'm getting used to. Maybe I should put a needle in the middle or something like that, so having a needle in the centre there to hold it apart. I don't know. Is that better? No. Okay. I know this is my proper white work piece, but it's also me learning again, because that's what I'm constantly trying to do. And you can't learn without making mistakes. So that's what I'm doing. I did make a few mistakes here. So for example, around the edge here, I managed to make that one slightly off centre, but I've sort of measured it a bit better on the other two sides. So I've got 4 there and 4 there to stitch, but it's slightly off still, but I think I can make it look nice. That's the main thing, and I'm enjoying the process. But yeah, I want to do something a little bit more woven inside the centre of these ones. So what I'm thinking is doing a oopsie-daisy, has that gone through? That has gone through. It's caught itself up there, and the dog's going again. It's a good thing the dog's awake, so then the rest of us are awake as well, aren't we? It's a nice Rottweiler. It's a beautiful animal, but unfortunately they don't really take it out for walks and things very much, which is unfortunate. But anyway, I won't talk about that anymore. Anyway, so yeah, so what I'm thinking of doing is doing, like with this, a star in the centre here, and then doing a weave around it using the variegated threads, which I think could look quite nice. And I've been having a go at some of the mini woven motifs on here. So on these corners you can see where I've done it. So on this one and on the ones on the bottom, I've done a much better version than I did with the first one here. What I did was I wove these like bars here, then I went through and did like a buttonhole stitch around the outside, went through the bar here to do the weave, and then I wove it through so it can grip onto these ones, and it's worked out a lot better because apart from anything else, it's not pulled the stitches out like you can see here. So over here, when I come back, I'm gonna have to go around with the buttonhole stitch and just try and get that looking a bit tidier. But yeah, again, living and learning, and that's what I'm doing. And I really like how it's looking. But yeah, so what else have we got going on? Well, as Squinks is now doing their GCSEs, we sort of have an end date for their school time, so we don't know quite what the date is yet, but we're starting to look at dates and things for our trip to London. And one of the things I'd really like to do is take Squinks to the V&A stores. I think I mentioned that before when I was talking about going on my own, but I think Squinks would really enjoy it as well. Apart from anything else, it's got lots and lots and lots of examples of historical fabric crafts and fabric making. So you've got things like weaving, and you've got embroidery, and you've got some amazing like garment construction and things, and I definitely want to have a good look at that one. Okay, I think Squinks would enjoy it too. They've gone off the idea of me making them an outfit for the prom, because they wanted to buy one instead. But I think, you know, they're still interested in costume and want to have a look at that. So if they're thinking of going into performance, maybe that'll be an interesting one. I'm going to turn this over just 1 second. Oops a daisy. And you can see that to get from here where I am to here where I need to stitch next, I'd have to go all the way around the outside, unless I go through, oops, this stitch here. Sorry, I'm banging into the into my phone with the thing stand. So I'm going to go through there, like that, and then I can go into the center here, and then back out the other side. So that should come up exactly where we want it. Not quite, a little bit too far over, just there we go. But now I'm gonna have to come up from the top instead. So yeah, it's all changed sides. So I'll start going this way. It's a little simple motif, but I think it's a nice little bit of filler, especially against these sort of dual-toned cluster blocks. I am starting to call them dual-toned rather than just coloured, because I think there is an element of, not glow, but there is an element of sparkle to them, because they are such bright colours and such rich colours. But I think it works. And then we can go up here. I'm trying to hold on to the stitch underneath now, so that it keeps its shape a little bit better. I'm going to have words with Squinks, because they're shouting again. My gosh, you wouldn't think somebody, that smaller person, could make that much noise, but they really can. Anyway, I'm glad they're enjoying themselves. They're having their Easter holiday, but they're resting up today because they're feeling poorly. But yeah, and they've got their piano lesson later, so we're going to be doing that over Zoom, so they can have a bit of a talk with their piano teacher. And I do kind of, it's one of those things where you kind of want your child to make the right choice, but you're not allowed to tell them what that choice is. It's an interesting one, isn't it? It's you want them to do well, but at the same time, if you push them too much, they're going to go in the opposite direction and run away from what you want to do. But yeah, they're doing well, and I'm looking forward to seeing how their GCSEs go. It's going to be interesting. Yes. So are you guys gearing up for your exams at the moment? What kind of exams and what kind of timetable is it in the rest of the world? It's kind of interesting, isn't it? Because, you know, we have our exams done for the summer semester, which is in, yeah, sort of May, June, July. But of course, we're on one side of the world, and on the opposite side of the world, your winter is our summer. So do you finish your exams in the winter? It's an interesting one. Let me know down in the comments. Are you guys doing exams now, or are you have you done all of your exams? What's your next steps in life? It's interesting to find out, because I mean, it's like everybody has different priorities, don't they? And it's interesting. It's kind of weird. Like, I mean, if I could go back and do my GCSEs now, I probably would choose very, very different subjects. I probably still would have done art, but I think I would have done more for my history GCSE, and I might have done more for my well, I did drama, which I don't think it really came to anything, but I think I would do maybe music instead this time. But my music teacher was a bit of a well, he wasn't a particularly nice man, put it that way. So there wasn't much encouragement, and there wasn't much patience, which unfortunately some of us actually required. He had a very strange sort of system for doing music lessons, and he wouldn't let you go to lessons if you were late, but you had to go out of other people's lessons to go into your music lessons. And he used to get annoyed when, you know, other teachers would get annoyed when you had to go in the middle of a test or in the middle of whatever. But if you were late for the lesson, he would mark you as absent, and you'd lose that lesson. And the way he ran it was that he had on his on the wall outside the music class, he had a list of times which was really unclearly written, and he would expect you to be there promptly, and there was no, you know, you didn't have like your mobile phones to have reminders on, things like that. And I, as I mentioned, I was dyslexic, and the main feature of my dyslexia was timekeeping and you know, looking at my watch when I needed to go, remembering appointments. It's quite funny because years ago, I remember after I was diagnosed with dyslexia, I was talking to one of the counsellors at the university that I went to, and he was like, we have such a lot of difficulty with dyslexic students, but it's nigh on impossible to help because they don't remember the times, they don't remember the appointments. I mean, some people did sort of, you know, put them in their diaries and stuff, but then they'd forget to look in their diaries. And we didn't have mobile phones back then. This was back in the 90s. So I was just losing appointments to, you know, have assistance and stuff. Because I just couldn't remember the dates. And this was obviously undiagnosed when I was in secondary school. So they didn't know that it wasn't just me being unorganised or whatever. It was because I just could not remember dates. I could not keep numbers and dates in my head. It's quite funny. I mean, we have a long-standing joke that if my husband wasn't here, I would forget all kinds of dates and times and numbers and things. I can't remember how old people are. I can barely remember birthdays. I have all kinds of reminders in my phone and stuff. Oops, have I got that one caught up? I think I might have done. I'm going to have to pull that one through if I can. Oopsie-daisy. My phone is filled with all of the appointments that I have, because if I didn't have my phone with all the reminders on, I would not remember these things. I absolutely wouldn't. And then I wind up overcompensating. I either go to meetings far too early, or I forget them altogether, which is, as I say, it's never intentional. And forgetting birthdays doesn't mean I don't care about people, because I do. It's just very difficult to keep dates and numbers and appointments in my head. Yeah, everyone presents differently with their dyslexia if they have it, and that's my particular presentation, which is it's fascinating, but also quite frustrating, and I can guess it's quite frustrating for people around me as well, so I do try to compensate, but there's not really much you can do if you literally cannot remember numbers and times. But yes, it gets laughed about quite a lot, but fortunately people around me can be quite understanding. Right, so I'm going to finish that off off screen, and I'll do a photograph for the end of the video, so make sure you keep your eye out for that one. And I'm going to come back in a bit to continue my sashiko, so I will see you in a bit. Bye. Okay, so I'm back, and yeah, I finished this off last week, this lovely pattern here, and I kept one red line going through it because I thought that looked quite nice. And I'm going to be using a bit more freehand on this side. I'll try and do something a bit more rigid up here, but I need to sort of get that started before next week. So getting my water erasable pencil, I've just drawn some very basic shapes, and I'm not too worried about these being exact. Anybody who knows, who's watched the channel for a while, knows what these are more than likely to be. These are going to be, hopefully, some soot sprites or soot gremlins from the movie My Neighbour Totoro and Spirited Away. So yeah, I've got myself a water soluble pencil, and I'm hoping that's going to be better than the other ones. I tried to use one of the pens and it just did not want to do anything. But this one I'm going to be doing a bit more freehand. I'm not going to be working from a pattern, so I'm just going to start off with my I've got to start off by putting on my palm thimble because I might actually use it this time, but also putting on my leather thimble there, and I'm going to remove my little needle case out of the way so that I can get on with stuff. But yeah, I was going to start with another pattern like this one formal patterns, but I thought I wanted to sort of mix it up and have a less formal thing. So back when I first started way back in, goodness knows, a couple of years now, I started out by doing a task that was one of the ones that was prompted from Gish, the mad thing that I did years and years ago. We did all sorts of crafty tasks and things, and I basically wanted to have a try of it, even though somebody else had done it for the Gish event, and that was to do a version of the Great Wave off Kanagawa, but using Sashiko. And from there I got the bug because I really enjoyed doing that project. If I can, I'll put a picture up here, but if you guys can remember it, then great. And it's one of the videos that actually sort of A, first went viral, and B, I sort of started to realise that actually I really liked doing things using stitching. So I thought, why not, do some more? And it's kind of what started the whole bug. But like I say, this one I'm sort of going freehand. I'm not doing anything to a pattern. I am bringing the shapes in, and I'm going to make it up as I go along. I've got the very sort of loose shape of the sort of circular fluffy soot sprites, and I'm hoping that it's gonna look quite nice. And again, on the back, when I get to the end of a row, even though it's not like a proper row, I'm still going to pull that back a little bit so it doesn't get tight, so I can loosen the threads a little bit. Now, can I do some palm thimbling? Let's find out, shall we? Put my finger, my palm, well, put the needle through there, put my palm thimble on there. Have I been off screen this whole time? I might well have been. Like I said earlier, I'm trying out a new like a muffler, behind the camera, which is hopefully going to stop the pops in the mic and the extra noises and stuff. It stops extra noises from me, so when I go pop pop pop, it doesn't make sort of windy noises on the on the microphone. But you are still going to get the noise of the neighbours shouting and riding their cars and things up and down the street, which is somewhat entertaining, but not particularly. Yeah, it's been a bit of a weird week here because we've had some petrol shortages because people have been panic buying. I need to get petrol for my car and I haven't been able to because either the queues have been ridiculously long and I haven't had time to wait, or the garages, the petrol stations, haven't had any petrol because people have been buying up and as I say, panicking. So yeah, it's a weird one, but I mean, I'm trying not to do the panic buying. I know there's no reason to go and stock up immediately. If there was, I would have stocked up when there was a long queue. I didn't like super urgently need any petrol on that day, fortunately. But as the week goes on, my supplies are getting lower and lower and lower, which is making it a bit more, not stressful, but concerning. My main concern is, of course, whether or not I get a call from my mother at some point saying that I need to go down and help with my dad, who's had various health issues recently. But the problem is that if I can't get any petrol, I'm going to find it very hard to go down. Fortunately, very, very recently, we've had a not a new train station, but an old train station rebuilt or renewed here in the town that I live in. So I should be able to get around on the train if need be, and get to work without having to fill up the car. But if there is an emergency and I do need my car, it's not going to be easy. But hopefully all the panic buyers have all finished their panic buying and are now thinking, well, I don't need to get any more because I don't need to get any more. There might be some petrol in my most local garage in the next day or two, but I'll have to wait and see on that one. All this excitement over oil, I won't be discussing the causes behind that, but again, same as ever, I just really hope that everybody is safe, and I hope everybody is taking care of each other, and that's the main thing, isn't it, really? Recognising that everybody has needs, everybody has issues, everybody has problems, and that everybody needs the care and attention of their neighbours. Such is life, eh? Anyway, like I say, I don't want to go into that too much, but just, wishing you all well and hoping that you're all safe and happy. But yeah. So, like I say, I'm just doing sort of freehand. What I'm going to try and do is have these coming out from the centre now. As I'm working, I am sort of slowly rubbing them off. So what I'm going to do is make the sort of basic circle first, and then I'm going to come back and do like the eyes and things later. And I can come back in with my my pen and redraw the pattern. So it's not a big problem if it rubs off. Like I say, it's free-handed, so I can adapt as needed. But yes. Anyway, let's bring this around. If you're new here, just to explain, this is my Sashiko handbag project, I am going to attempt to make a bag for myself for actual use, you know, not going to leave it on a shelf or something. I want to make something that's decorated with Sashiko, and I'm making this out of recycled denim, and I'm just making sure that everything fits the way that it should. I'm doing sort of the stitching and bringing the pieces together first, and then after I've got those pieces in place, once I've got the patterns and things all laid out, I'm going to cut it down to size, and then make the bag. Now the reason I'm doing it that way round is because if I cut it down to size first and then I do all this decorative stitching, it's going to make the stitching is going to make it pucker slightly. So you can see over here, even though I did this very carefully, there is some puckering, there's some sort of cushioning on there, which is going to affect the size of the piece of fabric that I'm using. So I want to try and avoid doing that too much, just so that I can make it nice and flat, so it's not, you know, a good size, but also if I do the cutting down to size after I've done the stitching, then it won't matter so much if I've allowed it to pucker a little bit. But yeah, it's going well so far. I've barely done anything, but I feel really pleased with what I've done so far. Like I say, Sashiko was kind of the first sewing needlecraft craft that I sort of shared on here, and it's been a while since I've done anything in this style, but or in this medium, in this mode, but I would like to get back into it, and that's part of the reason why I'm doing this now. And I am doing these stitches going over this edge here. These are just sort of tacking or basting stitches, and I'm using these stitches just to start bringing the pieces of fabric together. And I keep forgetting to use my my palm thimble. I will remember, honest. But there are some more sort of formal designs I want to get on here, so more sort of gridded patterns, like the one I showed you, like the one I started with. But I also want to do some freehand. I want to do some little sort of anime characters, and this one is from sort of the Studio Ghibli type movies, not cartoons, the animations. Cartoons makes it sound a lot less serious, a lot less grown up, a lot less professional, I suppose. But cartoons are still great. But it's beautiful animations, and if you haven't seen it, my gosh, where have you been? It's you know, some of the most beautiful designs and like filmings and the stories and so on and so forth. Just amazing, incredible work, incredible artistry, as well as just entertainment. And yeah, it's something I highly recommend others having a look at. Now, that one's got a bit squiffy, so I'm going to get my pencil back again and do the circle going around, so making sure I don't do it too far. Now I'm going to fill in these bits as well, so I'm just doing this loosely at the moment to get the idea of where it's going to be. So these are all sort of touching the edges of the circle like that, so I'm just touching the edges there, and that gets me the sort of shape that I want, because then I can make it fluffy by making these come in and out a bit further. but we'll see about that as we go. Now, can I use my palm thimble again on this? Let's see. Start the first one there, put my palm onto there, and then on we go. I am still absolutely not an expert at this. If you want to see an expert at Sashiko and this kind of decorative stitching, go and check out the Green Wrapper. That is a channel run by a lady who is in Australia, but from what I understand, she is from Japan, and she's brought a lot of her sort of traditional stitched heritage with her to Australia, and refers an awful lot to like old books and things that have come from her grandparents and elder members of the family. So it's, you know, interesting to see how much heritage is in a kind of stitching, isn't it? And it's beautiful to see how people are keeping the process alive, and I'm very glad to see people sharing these ideas. It's very interesting, but again, you've always got to be careful about using symbols and things from cultures that aren't your own. But at the same time, it's always worth finding out whether or not people from that culture either have a love or a hate of people using the culture, because some people see it as a celebration, others see it as appropriation. So it's always something worth having a look at. I always go off on that one, don't I? It's a big old problem because again, like I say, I did quite a lot of study on it, appropriation and cross-cultural encounters when I was a few years younger. I mean, I've got quite a lot of years where I could be younger, but you know, that was a few years ago, and I do find it fascinating how different cultures perceive the use of their symbols, or the use of their projects, or the use of their garments or whatever, as either appropriation or as other ways of seeing it. I mean, I think the main point is, whatever culture you're researching, whatever textile or manufacturing or creative process you're looking at, you've got to make sure that you know enough about that culture to know whether or not you can do it. Because respectfully or not, if people from that culture don't want others to use their symbols, then don't, because you don't have the right to. I'm going to get off my soapbox. Like I say, I've done a lot of research on this. It's quite funny because it's like at work. I work in a museum, and quite often I will go off on not rants but tangents about particular subjects to do with appropriation and so on and so forth, and it's not something that everybody considers, but it absolutely is always worth considering. And like I say, just make sure that you're doing the culture that you're borrowing from enough respect to do enough research to know whether or not your use of that culture, or your use of that particular craft heritage is valid. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to get off my soapbox. It's nice to do some freehand stitching again. I don't often do freehand work now. I quite often just wind up doing like formal work, especially when I'm doing things like the hard anger white work that I'm doing, you saw me doing earlier. I am thinking very much of doing some more freehand style work, some more sort of artistic rather than structured. And I don't think you can call it artistic. I mean, it's all artistic, it's all creative, it's all, you know, expressions in different forms. But I think I'd like to do something a bit more free-flowing and unstructured. So maybe something a bit more representative rather than formal, I suppose. I may be talking nonsense. I do that a lot, as well. You all know, it's a terrible bad habit, but yeah. I would like to do some more freehand work, something that's is either representative or more abstract, but something that is expressive. It's difficult to say, because it's like, how do you say the opposite of this kind of thing? But you'll see when I get to it. I'm going to be having a look at some more sort of different types of fabric marking, how I can do dyeing, natural dyeing, and this is something I did talk about doing last year, but I never got around to it, but I will do. But also as well as doing things like tie-dyeing and things like that, which I'm definitely wanting to revisit. I want to do some natural dyeing, and one of the things I want to have a look at is rust dyeing, because I want to see what I can create using rust marking processes. If you haven't seen it, definitely have a look. There was an artist I saw at the Creative Craft Show, if I can find a picture again, I'll put it up here, who was doing rust dyeing and had done it for her coursework, and it came out beautiful, but it was something I had seen done before, and I'm thinking about having a go at doing that myself, because I want to try and create something using that process, because I want something that's kind of earthy. I want to create something that's almost muddy. People say muddy as if it's a bad thing, but I kind of like things when they're muddy and rusty, and that kind of feel, the sort of the feel of aging and degradation, but purposeful. I may not be making any sense, but if you guys can work out what I'm saying, let me know down in the comments, because I've lost my ability to form sentences in any kind of sensible way, by the sounds of it. But there we go. I mean, we can live with it, can't we? Anybody who's been with me for more than 10 minutes knows that I go off on these tangents and then I completely forget how to speak. But yes. Anyway, so I've started a new thread. Do my usual thing of doing a few stitches. I've got a knot behind here, but I'm going to cut that knot off when I get to when I turn it over. And then I'm going to come back and go back through my thread again, not pulling it tight so I can get the knot, and pull that a bit looser. There we go, and then stitching through and getting it all ready to go. and I can cut that knot off so I don't have a lumpy bit behind my piece. There we go. There we are. And there we go. I've got a few more minutes on this, so I'm going to keep going. It doesn't look like much of anything yet, but it's going to. Trust me, honest God, it is going to look like something at some point. There we go. And again, not pulling it all the way tight behind here. Behind this, I've got my finger holding it loosely, so hopefully that'll be loose there. There we go. And on we go, or at least on I go. I'm trying to make the stickers not double up so that I can thicken them later. I am going to try and cover the whole area, but as you can see, I've nearly wiped that one out, so let's just give him a bit more definition there. And the one down here is shifted a little bit, but that's fine. Like I say, I'm listening to these guys outside the window playing with their cars and revving the engines, and just thinking it's so funny because everybody was panicking about no petrol earlier in the day. So how have they got the petrol to waste by revving their cars? Very strange. I don't know. Not my car, not my business, I suppose. Anyway. But yeah. I'll try and get the majority of this done over the course of this week. And I won't have a finished thing to show you at the end, so I'm going to... I don't think I'm going to share a picture of this one because... you've got the hardanger whitework thing to have a look at, and we'll see how that goes. My gosh. And I'm not using my palm thimble because I keep forgetting. I do sort of kind of know how to use it, but because I'm so used to having this on my finger, I kind of forget to use it. But I mean, I've watched the Green Rapper, and they also have like a little palm thimble that they put on there so they can push like that. I've never managed to get my head around that one, but you know, it's, if it works for you, it works for you, so no complaints here. But yeah, so yeah, I'm looking forward to doing some more free-handed, more sort of loose, unplanned stitching, and I'm going to try and do something that's kind of looking at textures as well as just shapes and patterns and things. I do enjoy doing my patterns. Like I said last week, I really love creating patterns in my work, but I do also want to start trying to do other things as well. Not that there's anything wrong with doing patterns, not that there's anything wrong with anything of that nature, but sometimes you want to break out of a, not a rut, but break out of a particular sort of stream that you're going through, because I've been doing patterns and patterns and patterns, as well as doing like the sewing and the hardanger and the sashiko. I also do my pattern drawing on my shorts, so most of my life at the moment is making patterns, which is it's just crazy. So I need to have a break from making patterns, I think. But yes, but nothing wrong with any of that, but sometimes a change is as good as a rest, as they say. Yes. So, how are you all doing this week? I keep asking this, and hope you're all good. I'm starting to look at, as I say, the Squinks is doing their GCSE exams, and we're starting to think about what we're going to do when we go to London. I want to go to the V&A stores, as I say. I want to have a look at the fabrics and the garments that they're showing there at the moment. I've been to the V&A, the actual museum, the old sort of Victorian slash, well, it is Victorian because it's called the Victoria and Albert Museum, so there you go. But yeah, I want to move away from that museum because I've been there so many times, and although it's a fantastic museum and their jewellery collection is gorgeous, I do feel the need to move on a little bit and try something else, because I think I need to. And I'd like to have a good look at some new things and some more crafty things as well. But yes, anyway, so I'm getting near to the end of my 30 minutes on this one. I'm just going to pull that one back through. There we go. And can you see what it is yet? You can sort of see a circle there, and there's part of a circle there, and there's part of a circle there, and I'm going to just fill in this area with white stitches, and I'll just keep going with that until it's all filled, and then I can add the eyes in, and I'll save that for next week's video. Yeah, so let me know what you think of my efforts here so far down in the comments, and also what you think of my white work project. And whilst you're down there, please remember to like and subscribe and all those lovely little things that help a tiny channel like mine to grow. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you very much again for watching, and bye bye.